What's going on, everybody? We've been today talking about a classic topic on the channel, but not only for here, but across YouTube as a whole, as this divisive topic seems to be plaguing the internet streets in the way of how women are portrayed in video games. And I myself have already talked about this on the channel before when it comes to women in gaming, but what I'm talking about today is about the idea of why women in gaming work the way it does. And my buddy, a friend named Mario, who also has a brother named Luigi, I know their parents are kind of trolls, talked about the three ways that men tend to look at women in terms of beautiful, pretty, or hot. And that based on those monikers, the thought process behind those characters is entirely different. And when it comes to women in games, I would say that gamers don't hate women. Gamers love women. Some of the most beloved characters in all of gaming are women. Now, you will argue whether or not those were real women or women created for the male gaze, which I'm making a whole other video on that and how that's kind of a fallacy. When it comes down to it, gamers want to enjoy what they're playing, enjoy what they're watching. And the way I look at it, the best way is to highlight the best qualities of women. And not only that, the things about the women in these games that I'm going to be talking about are not only three-dimensional characters with great, rich lore and personality, but they make people want to cosplay and be like them more than anything. Inspiration leads to imitation, which is the greatest form of flattery, as it was told by me. But let's get into it about why women in games have to meet these three monikers of being either pretty, hot, or beautiful. To it that we're gonna have sex appeal in video games. It's just a fact of the matter. Because, like it or not, this is a male-dominated space, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. Gamers were usually men to begin with, and we're not saying women can't be involved. So I want to throw that out immediately. But I want to talk about how a game in simply design can garner an audience immediately. And when it comes down to it, the characters being intriguingly eye-appealing from the start already gains an audience. And when you get into these silly debates about what is realistic or not, loses the point that these are video games. They're not meant to be realistic. We have people literally doing inhuman feats of strength, skill, and dexterity. Sometimes they're not even human to begin with. They just happen to look humanoid. But again, we're playing video games for the sake of either power fantasy or just to have some sense of escapism. Because life is hard. Life is very hard. We're all here just trying to make do with ourselves, make enough money to hopefully have time for hobbies. Nowadays, you can't even afford to even play a simple video game, especially with now them trying to jack up prices to potentially make games $80. And some games aren't even full games on release. So they're just really trying to sink all possible money, all possible fun. So if we're going to spend our hard-earned money on something, let us at least enjoy looking at it. Let us at least spend hours playing through it. And I see no fault in wanting to be able to enjoy what you're doing. And if you enjoy what you're doing by also having something that's pretty, what's wrong with that? And when it comes down to it, some of the greatest games of all time are going to have a female character that is at the forefront alongside the male characters. Because at the end of the day, the reason why the game was so great is the entirety of the cast. But you cannot have successful, amazing video games without amazing women. It's just not going to be the case. You can go back as far as you want. Even Legend of Zelda, it's the game name. Legend of Zelda. It's about Link and Zelda. Both characters are important. Both characters add to the story. It's like I said to myself, some of my favorite games of all time, in no particular order, we've got, of course, Final Fantasy VII. I don't need to tell you most about Tifa and Aerith, Yuffie. Like, those characters are all amazing in their own right without having to be part of the love triangle. But each one of those characters individually has their own interesting backstory and character development throughout this entire game. You have Bioshock. You have Andrew Ryan, along with Jack, who's the main character. Now, you would argue that there's no real female representation in Bioshock. That's fine. We go to Bioshock Infinite with Elizabeth. Again, one of the most beloved female characters in gaming. Then you have Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic. Basil. Come on now. Basil is one of the greatest characters in Star Wars video games, because the plethora of Star Wars video games in terms of character development is not as high as you might think it is. We have Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, you have Star Wars Force Unleashed, then you have Star Wars Fallen Order / Jedi Survivor. These games all have amazing characters that also are women, because they're not just eye candy. And there's this thing where people think that if a woman's attractive, now on its base that they're just eye candy, they're for the male gaze. No, they're there because they happen to be women. They happen to be attractive. They're fit. They're in shape. They're doing whatever it is that they do because they are real people. Then you have one of my favorite games, Mass Effect trilogy, specifically Mass Effect 2, where you have Miranda, Liara, Holly, even Jack. Now, funny enough with Jack, you would say that she's not the most feminine woman because, bald head, tattoos, whatever it might be, but she's still an engaging and intriguing character, and also a heck of a romance option for multiple playthroughs. And even with that in mind, she's not a conventional woman, and yet she's still a beloved character. Now she's the #1 favorite? No, but that's fine. There's still an audience for her, and they're still managed to have a quote male-centric character. If you want to even give her that moniker, I don't believe that really exists. I believe she happens to just be a tough girl. She kind of reminds me of Vi from Arcane. Then you have, of course, Assassin's Creed. Now, the good ones, of course, are Ezio, Black Flag, and maybe you could argue Origins. But when it comes down to it, the main guys, Altair, Ezio, even Connor gets some love from me, because Edward Kenway, they always had a woman by their side along the way, along the journey. And even, like I said before, Witcher 3, Yennefer Trish. Do I really need to say more? Along with, of course, Ciri, because that's who we're protecting. But the idea is that these are all fantastic, amazing, iconic video games. Not even to go into like the Resident Evil franchise with Claire, and then you also have Jill. Like, come on now. All these characters from these amazing video games are women who also maintain a sense of femininity. And there's, again, nothing wrong with that. We want those characters to engage in whatever is the story while appealing to that three philosophies. And I know I've kind of gone on a bit of a tangent, but I think that's what I need to bring up to this point. Let's break down the idea of hot, beautiful, and pretty. Now, as my friend described it, when a guy thinks a girl is pretty, it's because they're looking with their eyes to their top head. They are focusing primarily on, the frontal face. How does her face look? How does she carry herself? That is a sense of pretty. When it's a female who is hot, you kind of thinking with your other brain. And that's your initial reaction from seeing a woman. And then there's beautiful, which is a blend of both. And the thing that undermines a lot of the arguments against this is the idea of, just put a hot girl in it, it'll be fine. I've talked about it, again, in my previous video covering this very topic, that you can have a hot character in a video game, but if there's no substance to the story or substance to their own personality, then yeah, it's not going to do as well. People might buy into it initially off of potential hype or just being attracted to that character. Once you play it for a little bit, and then you realize there's zero substance, yeah, it's going to be long forgotten. But now, you have what today is, where you have characters who aren't appealing in any sense of those three words, and on top of that, have little to no personality. What do you think is going to happen? That's why these games are flopping, such as, Dragon Age, The Veilguard, Marathon's going to be dying, Avowed, the list goes on of games that just miss the whole purpose of why gamers love women. We like women who are in depth. We like women with story. No one just likes women because women. There's always something more to it. And the best part about it is, sometimes you can have iconic characters that people never even play their game, but know who they are. Like 2B from Nier Automata is well known to people who've never even played the game. Chun-Li, Mai Shiranui, Ivy Valentine, Bayonetta. I could go on and on with various female characters that are known across gaming spaces and communities without people have ever played that game. And that speaks to something. That speaks to this constant back and forth that we see. And what's I think is great is I'm seeing a lot more female YouTubers, streamers speaking on this, because I don't know if you guys noticed, but the women that they tend to enjoy are the same women that us as men enjoy. It's almost like we all like the same thing. We have a lot of malcontents who just kind of want to stir up drama for the sake of breaking down the patriarchy, I guess. Ultimately speaking, that art should be an imitation of life, but life should not have to be art. The idea that we have to have realistic, I don't know what they want to call it. What is realistic? Like, what is the true definition of realistic when it comes to human beings and male and women? Because we all come in various shapes and sizes, but like, we even have preferences. People don't like the same type of woman. People don't like the same type of men. People don't like tall guys. People don't like short guys. People don't like big women. People don't like small women. We don't all have the same preferences. Therefore, we're not all going to look the same or like the same. And the idea that you can't give your opinion or critique when it comes to this is baffling, because the whole purpose of art is that it's subjective. And if someone doesn't like the art, they're entitled to that opinion. While others who have this notion that they must defend this art, if it's some kind of like moral high ground, to be like, well, this is not, to the male gaze, or, this is not to the standard beauty, but it still has a right to exist. And I don't think people have an issue with people who want to make, quote, realistic or toned down or just straight up uglier women because they think that women have been kind of turned into dolls throughout gaming history. They are entitled to that opinion. But it doesn't mean you have to force others to listen to the same rhetoric, listen to that idea of life. They want to play games the way they want to play games, and that's their right. So if you want to say games aren't made for you, blah, 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 this is for, the people of the Alphabet Mafia, that's fine. All of that is fine. But the problem is that when you go on a moral high horse and start making judgments of other groups of people within a space that you didn't start in the first place, like, spade is a spade. Gamers are guys. Gamers will continue to be guys. And there are gamer girls. One of my good friends is a streamer. You should check her out. Black Rose Zombie. When it comes to it, we are going to be male dominated as a space. And that is not inherently an issue. If you want to talk about the way men and women dynamics are in society, that's fine. But don't bring it into the gaming space. We are just here to have fun. We just want to mash buttons and do some cool stuff. And the thing is that when it comes to like normal people who aren't online, and I know it might be surprising for some of those who follow me, you guys are probably online as much as I am. No, I don't really post much on Twitter, as you probably know from following me. I just tend to look at things and looking at the feedback loop that tends to happen when people are just caught in these weird cycles where they're arguing semantics and preferences as if they're objective. Like, what are we going to do in this regard? And if people want to make money in this field, you gotta follow almost a gacha game mentality. Make attractive characters, make characters very desirable, and people will spend money on them. Just point blank. And if you go out of your way to try to undermine a game that you think is doing, quote, too much or appealing too much to the male-dominated spaces, well, you're just going to try and affect that game. You're going to make that game blow up. People are going to buy it straight up for the idea of cancel culture, or counterculture is really the better term. And then you have a game like Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which I still need to play, and I plan to play, where just quietly, under the radar, releases itself, has amazing characters, both male and female, and an amazing story from what I've been told. And I'm a sucker for any good RPG. I love playing both regular and JRPGs. But when it comes down to it, guys, just leave gamers alone. Like, genuinely, leave them alone. Like, if you don't want them to play your game, that's fine. And if you want to make money, you should, because the whole purpose of making games is to make money. But if you don't enjoy male gamers, stop playing video games, I guess. Like, they're not going away. We're not going away. But you can go. Because we didn't want you in the first place. We want everyone who enjoys video games to play games together. Because isn't that what we're all doing? We're here supposed to have fun, make friends, crack some jokes, maybe say some things we should say in a group chat. Let's just have a good time mashing buttons and trying to save the world from whatever evil deity or fascist government or whatever you want to call it based on what game you're playing. Relax, guys. GG's.
Stop what you're doing and listen.